Bangalore is one of the most useful characters in Apex Legends. Not only do you get access to a really helpful speed boost when taking damage, but you also have a tactical and ultimate ability that can assist you in quite a few ways. In this guide I'm going to have a look at what Bangalore is all about, bringing some useful tips and tricks to those looking to improve and be more helpful to your team whilst winning more games. I'll also bring in some good squad compositions that you can maybe play with your friends. If you're looking for three characters that work together really well, I'll talk about some of the things that I've come across in my playtime so far. I'll also go through a few weapons that I think really complement Bangalore, especially if you're going for that more aggressive playstyle. Starting out, let's take a look at Bangalore's passive ability. This is the thing that is just constantly working for your character. You don't have to click anything, it's just always there. And Bangalore gets access to arguably the strongest in the game. It's called double time. This essentially means that when you take fire, you sprint faster, and you sprint a whole lot faster. And you'll know whenever you've come up against a Bangalore and they're strafing left and right and you're shooting at them, they all of a sudden become far quicker, and you can't get anywhere near them half the time if they're running away, running behind cover, or even if they're plain attacking you and being straight up in your face. There's nothing you can do because they're so damn quick. This is a very, very strong passive ability, especially for players that have good aim and can take advantage of that very quick movement speed. If you're someone that maybe doesn't have that, you're still going to benefit from the fact that you can retreat more quickly, which is really good, especially when you combine it with her tactical ability, the smoke launcher. The smoke launcher allows you to smoke an area and has 2 shots with a 28-second reload. This is really useful as you can use this smoke launcher whilst doing other things, like almost mid-firefight or when you're healing or just before you revive somebody. It's really useful as it shrouds the area in a big cloud of smoke, and the only people that can really see through it are Bloodhound using his ult or anyone using the digital threat golden scope that you can get for the SMGs and the shotguns. I would suggest that the smoke launcher is something that you're using all the time during virtually all engagements to retreat. You use it behind you, you could even use it to places that you're pushing towards. It just adds an extra layer of cover that your team can work around. Also, smoking enemies can be really good if you don't think they have the ability to look through the smoke, as you ruin their visibility and then they have to reposition. There are so many ways you can use this smoke, and it's really good. The ultimate ability that Bangalore has access to is called Rolling Thunder. This is essentially an artillery strike that rolls along the ground, forcing enemies to either take cover or take damage. More importantly, this artillery strike will take pretty much all of your momentum away from your character, and this works against friendlies as well, so do be careful when using it, but you will almost feel stationary in the ground when the artillery hits and you can't get away. This is great if you're sniping at distance and you've used this to maybe prevent an enemy team pushing you, or maybe you've used it to push them off a ledge or something, and then you're there at the bottom waiting for them when they jump down. It's a very, very useful ability. Takes a while to recharge, but you'll definitely be using it more than once a game if you find the right scenario for it. I've tried to include as many clips in the background that showcase exactly what you can do with Bangalore. Now, I'm definitely not the best player in the game, not at all, but what I do have is the ability to work out what a character's good at and then use it to my benefit. I don't have the best aim, so I'll find something else to kind of improve my game and make up for that. All of these tactics that I'm about to go through will definitely help you. First off, speed is key. You have to take advantage of her passive ability, double time, otherwise what's the point in playing the class? She's really, really powerful when in engagements, and if you're always on the move, if you're always looking to flank an enemy or get in a position where you can gain that advantage, you've always got that get out of jail free card if you get shot, because you're going faster, so you can turn and engage an enemy, or you can run away behind cover. She's definitely an offensive character, so make sure you complement that with a solid loadout. I'm talking about weapons that are going to be very good in that close range engagement range, or maybe mid range too, because you never really know what you're going to come up against. I wouldn't suggest taking sniper rifles or maybe 2 ranged weapons. I certainly wouldn't recommend taking 2 ranged weapons, but you can see what I'm trying to say here. She's more of a character for that close range combat. Going with a Peacekeeper shotgun for the close range stuff, or maybe an R99, is almost certainly a good way to go, and then you could possibly complement that with a wingman, which is just really strong in Apex right now at pretty much all ranges if you hit your shots. Maybe you could go for an R301 or an M600 or possibly a G7 Scout if you want that little bit more range. I definitely wouldn't suggest going with something like a triple take and a longbow, for example, but that's really never a good loadout in any situation. She's very good at those aggressive pushes, and you'll definitely notice that, especially if you combine it with the smoke launcher. Now, the smokes are very interesting. If you are looking for the ultimate squad, going with different characters that complement each other, you've got to think about having that smoke launcher being used all the time in engagements. Now, Bloodhound benefits from this massively with his ultimate. He can use his ultimate and then essentially see through smoke, see these red enemies, and benefit from that, getting them taken out before they even know he's there. Very useful, but he of course doesn't have a smoke launcher himself, so he needs a Bangalore to get the best out of him. You could also possibly link this into having a digital threat sight on your other player. Maybe you've got a Bloodhound, and then say, for example, you could have a Lifeline who has that digital threat sight, so she can also see through the smoke. Maybe you've got one yourself, or you're just going for a flank and using that smoke for your teammates. You can see what I'm getting at. There's lots of different ways to play this. Now, if you're playing with randoms and you don't know what they're going to pick, don't worry, Bangalore is still really strong on her own. But just be wary if they don't have the digital threat scope or any of the golden scopes that can see through the smoke, or they don't have a Bloodhound, you're not really going to be helping them a whole lot by placing smoke on them. That being said, it is very useful for retreating. If they're taking damage, then throw the smoke down. I would also 100% suggest using the smoke when you are looting boxes. Just blast it at the floor and smoke your team. When you're reviving teammates, definitely use it too. Or even when you're retrieving a teammate and getting them back on the jump ship, you can always smoke the little beacon you have to sit next to for a couple of seconds, just because it reduces the chances of you being shot at. The smokes are also great for decoys. If you're running towards a position and the enemy might be pushing from a different direction, you could smoke somewhere else. As long as they don't see you actually do it, they see the smoke and they could consider a team to be there. So there's lots of utility attached to this smoke launcher. When it comes to the Rolling Thunder Ultimate, I would definitely suggest using this for more of a defensive role than offensive, although it can be used for both. The reason I say this is because once you've placed it, your team can rarely push through it and then try and frag the enemy team. It's really difficult to do so, and then if you get third-partied by another team and you're all standing there, pretty much standing still because of the way that the artillery hits, and it takes all of your stamina away, and you're stuck there, you really don't want to be engaging with yet another team. So instead, what I tend to do is use it as we're trying to retreat. I'll throw it behind me and the enemies can't push through it, or if they do, they're going to be taking damage. It's very useful that way. It's also useful to block an enemy team that might be third-partying you when you're in an engagement, or to push enemies down from a ledge. Finally, you can use it for an enemy that might have been downed and he's pushed behind a rock or behind a bit of cover. You then drop your ultimate there, and anyone trying to revive him is going to have a really tough time. But again, a grenade might be a better option in that situation. So as I alluded to earlier, the characters I would definitely suggest taking alongside a Bangalore would be a Bloodhound. Really useful to take, although you can always complement other characters in the game. Wraith is really useful with the portals, I believe, especially as an offensive character to be alongside you, and Lifeline is great because of that healing potential. I also think there are plenty of other characters that have great utility in the game. Pathfinder, for example, if used by a competent player, is just insane, and alongside your smokes you can get some really nice flanks in there as well. Let me know in the comments what you think of Bangalore. Is she one of the best characters in the game? I certainly think so. And what would you suggest doing in order to be more effective with her? I think being aggressive, making use of your smoke whenever possible, and trying to get involved as much as you can and make use of that passive double time ability. You are gaining a benefit from being in a firefight, and no other character has that in the same way. Thanks for watching, leave your comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next video.